friends, welcome back to Toilet Women. Tonight, Lynzie and I are out here on our back porch, freezing. It is cold out here. But we wanted to make a back porch chat, which we haven't made for almost 6 months now. The last one we did was with Grandma Christy in Oregon on her front porch. And this summer has just been busy. But we Back Porch Chat is basically Lynzie and I sort of stream of consciousness talking about whatever comes to mind, and then we stop. Yep. So if you've been missing us, here we are. Hi. What's new, Linz?
Well, I mean...
Anything at all, Linz? Anything happened since June?
Since June? Well, I mean, I met my boyfriend. Yes. Yes, I know. So excited. And I actually get to go see him at the end of the month. Me and my Marmy are taking a little trip to Arizona where he lives. And so I get to see him and kind of experience a new state. Never been to Arizona. We're even going to go through New Mexico and Texas. I've never been through any of those.
Oh, yeah.
She's been to Texas a couple times, but I've never been, so I'm super excited. Super excited to get to see him. It's been a little bit, so
yes.
Yeah.
So it'll be lots of fun.
Yes.
I'm going to take a retreat in my hotel room.
Very much needed.
Yes. Writing and reading and hiding away for however many days we're there. So it'll be fun. So we're going to leave next week and leave everybody else here to run the show. Yay!
Yep.
We've been working in the kitchen, taking turns. On Wednesday before Thanksgiving, our family tradition is each of the kids takes a turn making some kind of dessert. We have our traditional desserts that we always like to make, and we have to make 2 of every one of them because there are 14 of us now.
Yes.
And so we need a lot of desserts. And so they have all been making their desserts today. And then tomorrow I do most of the dinner. Lynzie does a little. Some of my older girls do a little. But for the most part, it's me. So I've been doing nothing today. Actually, I've been making a lot of head coverings and skirts to put in my shop. And they are selling like crazy. So if you haven't checked out my shop yet and you're interested in handmade head coverings or skirts or clean eating recipe books, and I think I have like 2 beaded necklaces left, you can check out the link in my description to see all the things in my Etsy shop. But that's what I've been doing today, and every few hours I get an order, and that's just really exciting. So it's taking off, and I'm happy about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tonight we just kind of wanted to talk about whatever and nothing. Usually we talk about some kind of really fun conspiracy theory or something. But honestly, for me, I'm sort of pooped out on conspiracy theories and just anything fun. No, I'm just kidding. No, just... the internet is driving me crazy, Lynzie. I have to tell you. I repeatedly think about just like shutting down my Facebook, mainly my Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook's
pretty much just my Facebook.
Yeah, everything else is fine. Facebook has just always been kind of a little bit of a thorn in people's sides.
It is. And I have shut down my Facebook probably 4 times since I started in 2009, when I didn't even really want to start in the first place. MySpace was over, but it was still ingrained in my memory, and it was horrible. And so I had friends that were like, no, get on and talk with us. And I'm like, you live down the street. We talk in person. Not anymore. We don't.
Come on over and we'll have a one-on-one conversation instead of through a text.
Right. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. No. Thank you, Facebook. But I don't know. There is a plugin you can put on your Facebook called Facebook Purity. I think you just find it through Facebook. Just search Facebook Purity. And it's a plugin that will allow you to block all kinds of things in your newsfeed, or different ads, or just certain kinds of things that pop up, like other people's memories or what other people said to other people or whatever. But they also have the option to turn your entire newsfeed off.
Ooh.
Yes, so when you go to Facebook, you don't actually see your newsfeed at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you don't, and ads, you can turn off the ads, but so basically you just go, and there's like a screen with like your clicky buttons on the side, so you can go places, but you don't see the newsfeed.
That's nice.
mine has been turned off for a while. So if I haven't commented or liked anybody's stuff in a while, it's because I don't see it.
Hey.
It's just, it's negative, and I feel like I want to get off of there, but also it's a ministry opportunity, and I want to be a positive voice, but I wish everybody else wanted to be a positive voice back, I guess. So.
Right.
Here, you talk for a while.
Yeah, no, I definitely can agree that it's an annoyance, and there's unnecessary things that really don't need to be on there.
Right.
And it's kind of hard trying to be the one who is spreading positivity when all you see is negativity, and you just wish that there was other people out there who would do the same thing. And so sometimes it's kind of draining.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've kind of felt the same thing. I'm a little bit more of an Instagram and TikTok type of gal than I am Facebook. I'm hardly ever on Facebook.
Yeah. Instagram is like the most positive of them all, in my opinion.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And I think that's why it's just so fun and popular with a lot of people who like to spread a more positive, vibe to it, is because it's not like Facebook. It's not like where you're looking at someone's photo and then you're commenting all of this, cruddy type of stuff. It's just, it's very encouraging and it's fun.
It's fun,
and
yeah.
So
people don't take the time to, I don't know, I've been on there 10 years. I don't think I've ever had a negative comment on Instagram.
I never have either, and if so, I immediately am able to block that person, and that person never even existed anymore on my feed, which is really nice. So sadly, Facebook doesn't do that. I don't know why. It's kind of like Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter has that negative, or whatever it's called now.
X.
It's not even, X. So
X-Files. X marks the spot.
conspiracies.
SpaceX.
But yeah, no, I
Extremes.
agree. I tend to be a little bit more on the Instagram, TikTok side.
Yeah.
TikTok's kind of hit or miss for some people, but Instagram definitely is tons of fun when it comes to being positive.
Yeah,
So-
I do like Instagram. And I like YouTube. Yes. I have this channel, which I've tried to devote just to ministry and, important things.
Conspiracies.
And then I have my literature channel, and that's called Bell's Library, if anybody's interested. I keep changing the name. But I decided to name it after my literature blog, which I've had for probably 10 years.
Perfect.
So it's called Bell's Library. And I really am enjoying being on there because I can talk about books and just
All the things you love.
all the things I love. Ministry and books.
There you go.
What else is there? I don't know. Nothing.
Happy little world.
Right.
Crafts.
Yeah. Oh, I think I was going to talk about X-Files.
You should. I want to know about X-Files.
Oh, you want to know about X-Files?
I want to know about
Okay,
X-Files.
so
This thing has been
have you
it's
ever
interesting.
seen any X-Files before?
I have not, but I know the theme song, and I kind of have an idea of what it's about, just a little bit, but
Okay.
not enough to be like,
Okay. So Jamie, my husband, and I have been watching X-Files lately on, what are we watching it on? Amazon? No. I don't know. Maybe it is Amazon. Anyway, we've been watching X-Files. So if you're like Lynzie and you don't know any much about it, well, I was going to give an age range, but I don't know if that's a good... Okay, anyway. So X-Files was a thing from the 90s. And it was FBI dudes and dudettes.
Okay.
Mulder
Okay,
and Scully,
agents.
yes,
Okay.
agents. And there is a certain branch called the there's not, okay, let me go back. So there's these two FBI people,
Agents.
agents, Mulder and Scully, and they investigate unexplained things, weird
Okay.
things. They get put on weird cases, or sometimes they just go after weird cases. I don't really know how they always seem to get away with going after weird cases that weren't necessarily... do FBI agents just find stuff and investigate it, or are they assigned cases? I don't really know what the deal is. But anyways, it worked in the 90s. And so, but the interesting thing about it is, okay, so started out with most of the episodes right at the beginning were all about aliens, alien abductions, that kind of stuff. But then it started going into kind of some just weird things, weird crimes that are kind of weird because they're unexplained, telepathic things or, set yourself on fire sort of things. And so strange sci-fi sort of things, but not necessarily having to do with aliens.
Okay.
But then now we're kind of back to the alien story again. I think we're like in season 3 or something now.
Okay.
So Jamie says that it's like mostly aliens from here on out, so we'll see.
Oh, cool.
But anyway, the interesting thing about it is it started like in 92 or 93 or something.
Okay.
I think we're up to like 95. But it is, one, I'm finding out how much stuff that is like totally normally normal was new then. One of the things was talking about PTSD and how they were calling it Gulf War syndrome.
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly how it went. Like, terminology is messing with me, but the basic gist was that the idea of PTSD wasn't really an established thing, even in the 90s. And that's so weird because...
so interesting.
You know, we have people who have obviously had PTSD for probably since time began.
Right. Yeah.
But to just have, you know, what we know of it now be such a new thing is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Like before, like they couldn't really be able to explain it. Like they just thought someone was going mad or like was possessed or something like that.
Which I can understand like in Victorian times, but in the 90s that seems odd.
Yeah, they just didn't know how to explain it. So like you said, like Gulf War syndrome or whatever you said it was, like that makes sense until they were able to call it post-traumatic stress disorder. So like,
yeah.
huh.
So that's one thing we're seeing. And then the other thing is just how much was sort of... So I'm one who believes that, like, the baddies have to tell you their bad plan before they do it. Mm-hmm. And my friend says that it has to do with, like, karma. And so if they reveal their plan to you, then later on... you can't, like, they're not at fault because all they say is, well, we told you what we were going to do, sort of a thing. So maybe that's a thing. But anyway, it's really interesting to me how many things on there are introduced that are just so, like, real now.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of conspiracies and things that seem so obvious now. Like the question of, oh, could our government actually have nefarious purposes, right? Or could there actually be something added to food or a shot or something like that to change people's behavior? And it's all sort of, they don't, and even in some cases, they don't even go all the way. And it's like so obvious. For instance, there was one episode where there was a grown woman and then a young girl. And the young girl was kidnapped and put in somebody's cellar, and the guy was all weird, doing all these, saying all these weird things. And the grown woman was feeling all of the things that the girl was going through. So, like, if the man scared the girl, the grown woman would start screaming and be afraid or whatever. She was like working at a diner, so she wasn't even near there. She didn't even know that this was happening. She didn't know anything about this kidnapping or anything. Or like there was one time when the girl was chased into the river by the guy, and the woman started acting like she was drowning.
Oh goodness.
And choking, whatever, and ended up spitting up water and all this stuff when she was not there. She wasn't doing it. She was
so
just
weird.
Right. Okay. So what I thought was so interesting and weird because they didn't like follow through, because it became clear, like, really early on, to me anyway, that this girl was a clone, right? The little girl was a clone of the grown woman. And so that's why, because they shared the exact same DNA, right? They were bleeding the same blood and they tested it. They had the same DNA. So they're clones. But that was never mentioned. Like, in the whole episode, that idea of cloning was never mentioned. And it was so weird that it wasn't mentioned that I'm like, was that even a thing? Like, that had to be on people's minds to be cloning people, but why was it never mentioned? How come the episode never went that far? Like, it just kind of ended with, well, wow, how weird, they have the same DNA. Wow, how weird, they have the same blood. Wow, how weird, they're doing the same things. The end. But, like...
You never explained or even told you that they were
No,
clones.
It was never even like a hint. Like, Mulder never ever said, gee, I wonder about cloning, right? So it's strange because... It makes me wonder, was that not a thing? Or was that just not something you talked about on TV? Or were they just hinting but didn't want to bring it up?
Hidden message.
Yeah, like it's that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's, and some of it is supposed to be so weird and sci-fi, but it gets to the point where it's so obvious because that has been a thing for so long.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really weird. Yeah, there was another one I'm remembering now. It was mad cow disease.
Oh,
Yeah. And so, like, they go to this farm.
I remember this.
They're talking about, you know, the diseased cow and how it's doing all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. And it was mad cow disease. But, like, that was never, I don't know. It's just interesting to me how much stuff has changed. And just even seeing, like, the funny technology, right? You know, the phones and just, you know, I don't know. Just the stuff they could do. And the way they chose to do things. You know, you something's going to happen and they need information, and so you just assume they're going to pull out their phone, right? Like, they're sitting in a restaurant, they have a question, they need information, and in your head you're thinking, just pull out your phone.
It's like, yeah,
right? But it wasn't a thing.
What do I do?
Yeah, it wasn't a thing, right? Data phones were not a thing. So it's just stuff like that. Like, I know, but it's just weird to be reminded. And
it makes you wonder, because, like, I remember you mentioned, this was, like, back when the whole, like, the trains exploding with the different chemicals and stuff like that. I remember you mentioning that there was, like, a show or a video or something years before this happened, and it was, like, this train that exploded with this type of chemical, like radioactive chemical, in this specific town in this specific state, and then just, like, 2 or 3 years ago, the exact same thing, the same train, the same company, the same town, everything happened, and it's like...
Yeah, it was a film that was actually released, like, 4 months before
4 months, okay.
The derailment in
But it was, like,
Ohio.
the exact same thing. So
it was totally the same thing.
Like...
It was even the same, as far as I understand it, it was even the same, like, town or area, part of Ohio. Some of the people who went through the actual derailment were extras in the show, from what I understand. So that's just so weird, right? And so there's so much of that it seems very obvious that, you know, things are revealed ahead of time for whatever purpose.
Yeah.
But how crazy to watch something that is, you know, 30 years old and have it be there, right? Yeah. Like, how much stuff has been in the works for so long, or did somebody just have a great idea and put it in X-Files and then somebody said, hey, let's make that? Like, I hardly doubt that, but, you know.
No.
It's just weird.
Right. Well, and, you know, a lot of these things that seem to be so new and someone thought about it has been thought about for years.
Yeah.
Years, maybe even hundreds of years. I can't think of anything super specific, but when you look at, like, ancient texts, or you look at, like, you know, like a book from, let's say, 300 years ago, or a hieroglyphic in Egypt or something like that, and it's like, oh, I thought, because it would be like a newer technological type thing, and you're thinking, oh, I only thought that was like maybe like 60 or 70 years old, and like, no, this is like an ancient thing. So it makes you wonder how many of these things that are at least conspiracies, and these things are so new to us, have been around,
have already happened,
right? Have already happened, and it's just, you know, history is cyclical, and just we're
nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, we're creatures of habit, so we just keep repeating things.
Well, yeah, you know, and I do believe in lost civilizations and, you know, reset civilizations to a degree. I don't know about, like, Tartaria and all that crazy, but
right.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I don't. Anyway. But I don't know enough. Okay, I don't have enough information. But I do think that there have been, we know that there have been resets of civilizations. Civilizations that were wiped out, or at least made so weak that they just had to be overrun by this new way.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, I've had a couple things in my head. Well, I've got a conspiracy going on through my head, but also there's a channel that's going through my head. When you're talking about X-Files, it reminds me of this Spotify podcast that I listen to. It's called Blurry Creatures.
Okay, tell us about Blurry Creatures.
Okay, so I came across this podcast, I don't know, how long ago? It's probably been since we got back from our trip in Oregon. And I didn't know about this also, but it's actually really popular in the Torah community because a friend of ours, Mom, we'll tell you who it is later, she was mentioning Blurry Creatures during Sukkot, and I was like, wait a minute, you watch or listen to this podcast? And she freaked out, and I freaked out because, like, we don't know a lot of people who, like, will sit down and talk about it, but they know about this. So this podcast is two American guys who they started this Blurry Creatures podcast, and it was all just talking about Bigfoot. Oh. And it was just like, you know, their thoughts about Bigfoot. They're Christians, so it's through their biblical view of it, and like what Bigfoot is and where he may have come from, and you know, they do like the whole Nephilim type thing, and they have a whole bunch of very famous Christian authors out there who talk about Bigfoot in their books and the Nephilim. I can't remember one guy, but this guy is like really, really well known in the whole Nephilim community is what it is. And he wrote books about it, and he connects Bigfoot. But anyways, when you're talking about X-Files, I don't know why in the world it reminded me of Blurry Creatures, because X-Files is a little bit more on the science-y type of side. And I mean, Blurry Creatures is too. They do talk about aliens sometimes, but it's basically this podcast that talks about all sorts of creatures. Like, they talk about mythological creatures, they talk about real creatures, they talk about creatures that are mentioned in the Bible, they talk about aliens, they talk about angels, demons, like all sorts. They even talk about ghosts sometimes. And it's a really, really cool podcast if you're onto the creature side of things. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend it. It's really, really good, actually.
All right, we'll have to check it out. So it's just a podcast, not like a YouTube channel or anything.
I believe they do have a YouTube channel also. I could be wrong, but I'll look around and see. But all I know is about their podcast. But I could be mixing it up with another podcast that I listen to that does have a YouTube channel, and they kind of do something similar, but they are not Christians. So, but yeah, Blurry Creatures. Okay. It's on Spotify, so
that sort of stuff makes you curious and interested. You can check out Blurry Creatures.
Blurry Creatures. Yeah, highly recommend it.
Okay. All right, friends. Well, we are gonna go back inside now because we are super cold. Please see our breath. It's chilly. But it's been nice chatting to you all, and hope everybody has a happy week. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a really fun celebration with your family, and we will see you soon. Bye.